Hey guys, Dalton Albritton here, St. Cloud native and realtor in the area with Royal Realty. Here with Keilah, owner of OG Fitness. She is the first stop on this project we're doing. Both of us, actually, it's a mutual project of interviewing, getting involved with the community, small businesses, and for you, probably going into clients and just everything else as well, right?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Just trying to provide more information about our business,
Sure.
while getting to know some of the other businesses in the area a little bit better.
Okay. I mean, it's the same for me. I just want to be more involved with the community as you do. So it's both kind of a passion project for us both, just to kind of get to know each other and the community.
Absolutely.
So speaking of St. Cloud, how long have you been in St. Cloud?
I have for this year will be 17 years. Yeah. Yes. I feel like I don't remember life before St. Cloud at this point. I grew up in New York City, moved here 17 years ago to raise my family, and just been here right here in St. Cloud ever since.
Yeah, I noted that you did live in New York, and that was going to be a question of mine. What was the transition like from city life to?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was still pretty much a lot of country.
Yes, yes. When I moved here to St. Cloud, there was still a lot of like cow pastures.
Yeah.
We had one less Walmart, which sounds funny to say, but we had one less Walmart. We had no Starbucks. A lot of the franchise businesses that are here in St. Cloud didn't exist at that time.
Right.
Certainly a lot of roads that didn't exist at that time. So I came from Queens, New York. I was right over the bridge from
I've been
Manhattan.
there once.
Yeah, yeah. So it really is a metropolis. Like it's busy. There's a lot of traffic. There's lots of public transportation, so you don't necessarily have to drive. I didn't even have a driver's license until I moved here. So it was a dead stop because New York City is always awake.
Right.
And when I moved here, it was a hard transition at first because I would, I'd be up and, my city wasn't awake anymore. Now, St. Cloud was kind of like shutting down like 7, 8 o'clock. And, the businesses would shut down. Everything was kind of slowed down. And it was a hard adjustment at first. But, I adapted to the slower country pace, spent more time outside, enjoying, beautiful weather here. That was my favorite part, honestly. Can't get over that.
Okay. And you said, I mean, it's 17 years ago. Like, what were gyms like in the area? I mean, have you always had a passion for fitness? I mean, did it start when you came down here? Like, did it start before you moved down? Like, what was that kind of?
So when I was younger, before I started having kids, I was heavily into fitness. Right up until I was 18, and then by the time I moved here, my ex-husband and I, we had 2 kids, and I kind of like decided new environment. I'm going to get back into fitness. I want to start taking better care of myself. We're in this, this place that has beautiful weather. I have more opportunities to be outside. I want to feel healthier. I want to live healthier. Right. So I actually started, trying to eat better, working out at home. It wasn't until probably 2000, if I moved here in 2006, it wasn't probably until 2010, 2011, that I got back into fitness, like strength training and everything. And it was like 2011, 2012 before I joined the local gym, which here at the time, I think it was still Gold's Gym, and now it's Fitness CF.
I think it used to be public.
Yes. That was before my time.
I think.
Yeah.
Because the building next to it where the Goodwill is was the Walmart.
Wow. See, and I didn't even know that the Walmart was like.
Yeah, before they built the super center, there was a Walmart right there. It was real small. It's probably the size, probably not even the size of the neighborhood market off the Creek now.
Wow, you truly are a St. Cloud
native. Yeah, for sure. Make sure. Hold on a second. I see it up here. We're gonna cut this out. It's
gonna clap.
Yeah.
Did you hear the door open like 3 times?
I did. Yeah. Okay. started.
Mhm.
So you said you were here 17 years ago. The Gold's Gym was the only thing in town. So
Yeah.
how long did you really start working out, and how far along in your fitness journey did you decide, hey, I think I'm going to open my own gym? Like, what kind of caused that train of thought? Was it more, I mean, this is a follow-up question, was it more of just how people were training or not being trained or lack thereof? Or like, what started it?
There was a lot of different steps in that process to me coming to where I came to open a gym. It started off with me working out for a couple of years on my own, really delving into trying to change my mindset. And at the time, I was 200 pounds. I'm only 5 feet tall, and I was kind of like, I had low self-esteem. I was very defeated, and I just kind of like set towards changing my mindset. So first it was the realization, after the first like 45 pounds lost, everybody was like, oh, you look awesome. You should train me. You should be a personal trainer. And I'm like, I can't train people. I'm not certified to do that. And then finally one of my friends was like, you should get certified. She's like, look into it. So
That big should work.
yes. So I was like, you know what? Let me do the research, and I looked into it, and I saw that there was a home study course that I could do, and I invested in it, and I took my time studying it. Really trying to like develop my skills. I got a job right away, right after I got certified, training out of a small private gym in St. Cloud. It was like a boutique studio, just 1,000 square feet.
Do you remember where it was?
Yes, it was on Michigan Avenue, right off of 192, across the street from the Circle K. And the owner, he put the big yellow letters, personal training, across the windows. I was there the day that he came up with that idea. He was like, I just had an idea. He's like, he's like, we have just enough windows to spell personal training, and you could see it from 192. So people used to walk in all the time. So I feel like, as far as like trainers starting off on their career, I had probably the best scenario possible. I was a female trainer, working independently outside of a corporate gym. So I had a nice private space, and we had a location that literally, if you were driving down the main road in town, everybody could see that it was personal training. So they were just pulling over, opening the door, walking in, and asking for training. So it was a really nice start. At that time, I had no concept of ever owning my own gym.
Okay.
But he soon put me to help manage the gym, like help run day-to-day operations, customer service, networking. I kind of was developed to be the face of the gym.
There's a bunch of knowledge you didn't necessarily ask for, but
yes, I was just like, okay, I'm here to learn. And then I helped another trainer open another similar gym, and that one was called Fit Life. And TJ Wells and I, we operated Fit Life for 4 years, and it really wasn't until the pandemic hit, honestly, in 2020, when we had to close the training studio for 2 months. And TJ decided he was going to stick with his construction work, and he offered me the opportunity to purchase Fit Life, the business entity, and all the equipment. I was going to be able to take on the clientele. It really was, other than adapting to the pandemic, again, I was in a situation where I had a better opportunity to embark on this endeavor than most people do. So
right.
It was kind of like a
opportunity was knocking to just kind of put your knowledge to use.
Yes,
put everything to use. And I mean, opportunity is a big thing. It only comes around once in one form.
Yeah.
So and it's funny that it was that time, because me personally, I found you guys around that time. I found OG at that time. And I was looking at Fit Life first, and then the world was going to, I mean, excuse my French, but hell in a handbasket.
Yes, it was.
So, I mean, for me,
we didn't know what was going on.
For me, it was weird because I was actually kind of starting to really dig into my personal journey of growth while everyone else was losing their minds. And, I'd go walk outside, and then I was like, it was so hard to find a gym at that time or anything, any I mean, I guess it would be good for gym anxiety and people with gym anxiety to go into a gym where it's empty because of COVID. But if you don't know what you're doing, which was part of my journey, it's like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
I want to be informed before I start to apply it. So it was around that time that I found you guys.
Yeah.
And you were just now opening. And I was just like, okay, this is
I actually looked at your profile, and you've been a client with us since September 9th of 2020, which was literally 39 days after we opened. So
I think that was, it was probably, I had the kidney transplant in April of that year, and they told me not to do anything for a while, and I didn't listen. I was at the gym before they told me I should be doing it.
Right.
But I had to heal up, and at that point, I was just like, I'm not going to waste the opportunity.
Right.
Obviously, you didn't waste the opportunity to open this place, and you don't regret it at all. So,
No.
But yeah, town life, everything was going to hell around COVID, and I think that people that capitalized on that in the right way, no disrespect to anybody that didn't do anything then. Nobody really did anything then, but to those who did, it's coming to fruition now. That's a good position you're in. And you asked me my opinion, because you've grown, you went through that and grew. The sky's the limit.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of like forced me into the business owner role much sooner than I had ever anticipated that I was going to end up in that position. But like you had said that I had this opportunity to get all this education and ask for. Well,
Right.
I knew what to do, and I already had a client base. And this location that we're in, because I moved Fit Life a mile down the road,
Right.
and OG Fitness is 4 times bigger than Fit Life. The location itself, it was 1,000 square feet before. It's 4,600 square feet now. This was kind of also a no-brainer. The opportunity became available. The landlord was like super excited to get me in here. It's almost like I got presented with these choices, and it's like it was scary. It was so very scary, and honestly, even 2 years down the line, because our birthday is coming up soon, August 1st, but 2 years later, it is still scary. Business ownership is absolutely, especially when you have a brick and mortar and you have 99 plus clients, and
Right.
you have 6 or more staff. Like every day is an adventure. But I really felt like this was the only choice. This was the right choice. I had to buy Fit Life. I had to move us to this location. If I did it, somebody else was going to take advantage of this opportunity. So I'm like, well, I want it, so why not? Honestly, probably in 2019, and this is probably what was like a game changer for me in my whole entire mindset, was in 2019. I was, going through some like self-development struggles, really trying to develop myself, and trying to figure out what was in store for my path. And I had a client, very wise, and she was working out, and she was asking me, about what was going on in my personal life, which is not the norm. Typically, a training session is about the client, and I should be asking the client about, how they're feeling, how they're doing. But in this instance, she saw there was something not right with me, and she asked me how I was doing, and she was prying questions, and then she just said, "Be bold." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Be bold."
The
She's like,
simplest of advice.
yes. She's like, "What's stopping you?" She's like, "Literally, the sky is the limit." She's like, "Just be bold." She's like, "Take life by the horns and just go get what it is that you want." It's like, excuse my language, but she's like, give no fucks, like what is there to lose? And she was absolutely right,
And
that became my mantra for the next year, was just to be bold.
Yeah, grab it.
Yes.
My parents tell me, and I've adopted this, is grab it and grab it, is what they say to me.
Yes.
Because I'm always out there doing something.
Yeah.
And they're just like, just do whatever you want to do. Do what you feel like doing. My parents have been huge supporters of everything I do, even if it doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
So like I've adopted that so much. It's just like, like you said, like these things I want to do, I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, and then like you said, all the opportunity that came out of it. And you've mentioned before how personal training doesn't equate to the business end of owning a gym. It doesn't
Right.
equate to a lot of the ins and outs of owning a gym. And then
Right.
you mentioned, you touched on, she got a little personal with you and said, just go for it. What's wrong? Just go for it. But I find that even in my industry and what I'm doing now, it's like it's all relationship based. It's
Yes.
like if you're talking all
Yes.
business all the time, I mean, it's going to get you far, but it's not only going to get you so far. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I honestly feel, and I said this to my instructor when I started out in real estate, he's like, oh, it's a relationship business. And I said back to him, I said, life is a relationship business.
Mhm.
Like the people make you who you are.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's constantly separating the wheat from the chaff a little bit,
Yeah.
and seeing who helps you and who supports you where you want to go. So you support us when we come in here. How much support do your clients give you? What is your client base giving back to you?
My again in that, and I feel like this is probably a reoccurring theme. As much as I feel like, life is hard, life is full of challenges, and I've had to work for every single thing that I've ever wanted to accomplish. But I honestly, we wouldn't be here if not for my client base.
Sure. Yeah.
In the beginning, my client base was just a matter of my clients, because
Right.
FitLife only had really 2 full-time trainers, and my clients were my clients. I probably had like over 30 of them at the time. And when I told them about this opportunity and this dream, like they were all like, we absolutely are going to follow you. Wherever you go, we are going to follow you.
Right.
And I even had I offered a very small handful of clients the opportunity to basically be silent investors. They paid for a year of training up front. So in exchange for me training them for a year, they paid for that year up front. And that is what helped give us a good foundation of cash flow, so that we weren't starting on an empty tank. Because the scariest thing to me would have been embarking on this endeavor, paying, a higher rent for a larger location, knowing that my overhead was going to increase and not having something to fall back on.
Right.
So that's what kind of gave us our cushioning, our foundation. And then as soon as we came into this larger space and I started bringing in other trainers, my clients were all too ready to say, well, we have people for them to train. I have this nephew, or I have this cousin, she's been on the fence, but she's known that you've been too busy, but we trust your judgment in the people that you hire. So we're going to trust your brand and trust you with our family members, with loved ones. And they started bringing in clients from trainers to train.
It's a big compliment.
Yeah, that's huge. I feel blessed.
And it's, in our business, and well, for anything anybody does, referrals are a big thing.
Yeah.
And I refer you guys to everyone. Of course, not everyone listens, but that's all they would do, right? Especially when you're talking about personal development. Like,
yes.
Of course,
that's
I'm
the
sure
hard work.
I'm sure you deal with it all the time. You can only do so much, and like who with that, and obviously it's a biased question. I can't ask who's your favorite, type of client to deal with, but what client makes it easier on themselves in a sort of a way. And for anybody looking to come in and better themselves and to start working out, and start doing these things, what can they do to make it easier on themselves?
Clients who are ready to work on their mindset. I feel like the hardest part in the fitness journey is the mental roadblock. A lot of people are even scared to even make that first call, to send that email. I believe it. I absolutely believe it. I was scared when I started, and that's part of why I got into fitness, was because I saw how I felt, and all the other trainers in the industry that I saw were these like big, scary, beefcake muscle heads who just kind of like pounded on bodies, and I'm like, but I didn't need that.
It's intimidating as well.
It is. It's very intimidating. So it's the mindset. It's being open to developing your mindset and saying, I'm gonna step outside my comfort zone. I'm gonna trust this this professional that they're not going to do anything that puts me in danger, and that they're going to ask me, yes, they're going to ask me to do things that in the beginning are going to be uncomfortable. They're going to ask me to change my eating habits. They're going to ask me to walk more. They're going to ask me to drink more water. But a client who is open to adopting all these small improvements, I'm a huge believer that it's the sum of all the small efforts.
Yeah, all the small commitments make a
Yeah,
large commitment.
absolutely. They
Sure.
grow and grow and grow, and they snowball. So a client who is willing to make those small changes, and who is coming into this thinking with the mindset that this is going to be a lifestyle change for me. This is not,
Right.
not to say I'm going to have a trainer for the rest of my life. No, I'm going to learn the keys to being able to maintain good health and good, functional fitness for the rest of my life. What I'm going to learn here is going to help me to grow old gracefully, ultimately. So when you think about it in that sense, then it doesn't seem so daunting, because really all we're asking is for you to drink a glass of water when you wake up in the morning, and be mindful of how many times you snack, and to feed your body the things that ultimately it needs, which is going to make you feel better. And then, to move, to give yourself enough movement on a regular basis that you're going to maintain a good balance of calories in, calories out.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's baby steps, and it's not living the lifestyle of a bodybuilder. That's a
Right.
hard lifestyle.
And it takes a while to get there. I think that's something
absolutely.
people don't understand. And
And
I
that's
didn't
okay.
understand that at first either. And it's like you were saying, little steps is like, you see people like that at that stage, and they're like 100% in. But you don't realize that they had to give 10%.
Yeah.
10%, 10%,
Yeah.
10%, even 2%, 2%, 2%, those little changes like you're talking about, drinking more water is simple, I mean, cutting out the soda is a huge thing, just little things that you don't really want to do, but if you do them, the margin for consistency increases. If you do one of them, at least in my opinion, if you cut out the soda, then you're going to get inspired to do something else. To get in the gym, and then once you're in the gym, you're going to get inspired to like, all right, how do I maximize my workout?
Right.
And that, at least that's how I operated. Coming in at first, it's like I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but thankfully, people like you and your great trainers here were always there to correct me. And I think you have to have an open mind. Is like, it's okay if you're doing it wrong, but listen if you're doing it wrong. You know what I mean? And it's okay if you don't see results in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You're not supposed to see results in 3 weeks to a month to 2 months.
Right.
Especially if you're committed. Like for me personally, I tell people all the time, even if I'm not in here, I'm going to have to pick things up and put them down now for the rest of my life. And I think that margin for consistency is people misconcept that a lot. And, you put in 10%, 10%, 10%, eventually you're going to overflow. And then your consistency is going to be there. You can slack off one day. You can not do it for 2 days, whatever. But as long as you get back there, that it's like that 120% will heavily outweigh the 10% you're not doing. That
absolutely.
It becomes habit.
Absolutely.
At least that's how it's been for me. And I see people that do and commit themselves to anything. Like even if it's working at McDonald's, all of a sudden when you go to your new job, you have a vast amount of knowledge that, like you said, and we talked about before, you don't ask for it, but you apply it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because you're put in a position to, because it's going to help you to be more efficient at what you're doing. Ultimately, being open and willing to develop your sense of self-commitment, like that is ultimately what sets you up for success. I find, and this goes back to like when I was a young mother and I was woefully out of shape, and I used to look at other moms and I used to actually get mad. I used to think to myself, it's not fair. Like, I don't understand how it is that she has 3 kids and she's got a rockin' body. Like, it's not fair. Some people just get all the luck. And through my fitness journey, that's when I realized it has zero to do with that. It has everything to do with self-discipline, commitment. These people who look this way, who have the gains, who have the physiques that so many of us aspire to have, like these people who look this way have developed a lifetime habits. They don't eat, excessive amounts of calories. They stay active. They have a regimen of self-care. They developed the commitment to that self-care. And I feel like if you can develop the ability to commit to something and stick to it, just because if your boss told you, hey, I need you to start coming in at 7 a.m. tomorrow, you would do it. But why can't you tell yourself
no question,
that?
But I mean,
No question.
I'm there before he is sometimes.
But why is it we can't do that for ourselves? And I've been presented with this challenge myself too from my own mentors. Like, well, why can't you tell yourself that from now on you're going to do this, or that you're going to accomplish this task by this date?
Right.
Some of I think the scariest thing about setting lofty goals for a lot of people is that they feel so lofty, so far away. But honestly, there's really nothing to it than to get up every morning and just do the work.
Yeah. I just kind of threw shade at my boss a little bit, but there is a saying he says a lot, which is there's nothing to it but to do it.
Yes.
And that's the perfect mindset, because
So true.
that's all there is.
Yes.
All you have to do is do it. And you know what? Sometimes it doesn't work out, but get up and do it again.
Yes.
And it'll work out better. Trial and error. It's just like, jokingly, I'll bring this up. This is our first time doing this. It was a mess before we started. It was a little bit of a mess. It's still kind of a mess, but we're figuring it out.
We're okay with our mess right now.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
So I have another thing is, and I know this can be interpreted, which is the best part about your name, OG Fitness, is that it can mean whatever the client kind of wants it to mean. But what does it mean? Let's get it out. I would like to get it out.
So, our street legal name is Optimum
Street
Grade.
name.
Yeah, our street legal name is Optimum Grade. Our street legal name is Optimum Grade Fitness. So, ultimately, what Optimum Grade Fitness just means that you're receiving a high level of service. It's very, very important to me. I've had clients that I've had for my entire career. We have clients here today that started off as clients of mine 8 years ago, and they are still with me today. But because I care for them,
Nothing beats loyalty, right?
Right, and I take care of them, and I feel like if I was an awful person, if I gave terrible customer service, if I didn't listen to my clients and adapt and grow with their needs and their goals, then I would not have those clients following me for 8+ years. Right. So ultimately, when we talk about optimum grade, we're talking about a high level of service, high level of quality of customer care, but then also trainers who are committed to developing themselves. I love a trainer. I always say I love a smart trainer. And, we have some staff here who have bachelor's degrees in human movement sciences, like kinesiology. We have trainers that are cross-certified, 20 years in the industry, cross-certified in manual therapies, just truly masters of the human body. And we have, we even have new trainers that are newly certified, but come in here literally on their downtime when there's no clients for them to train. They don't even have clients yet, some of them, and they just come in to observe, to learn, to develop their customer service skills, to develop their skills as a self-employed, because personal trainers are typically self-employed, to develop their business skills. So it really is, Optimum Grade has everything to do with, our quality of care, and then the standard to which our trainers hold ourselves to, as far as like wanting to, to learn and grow and provide the best service that we can in every aspect to our clients. Originally, I like the way OG Fitness sounded. I'm from New York City. I kept having this flash of like, original gangsters, and then in my head,
I think that's what everyone thinks.
Yes, everybody thinks that OG Fitness was for original gangsters. So I came down to the name OG Fitness. There's a little story behind that. When I was working out at Fitness CF, I was a member of Fitness CF probably, I think since like 2011, 2012. And at some point in time, I became known for working out there by myself. After I became a personal trainer, I would come in. I would lift heavy things, like I was deadlifting heavy, I was squatting heavy, I was hip thrusting heavy, and growing these rock solid guns. And none of my female friends wanted to work out with me. They hated working out with me because I made their bodies hurt. They're like, you're way stronger than I am. I can't train with you. These are my friends because I was much nicer to my clients. But I'm like, if you're gonna work out with me, we're gonna get down and dirty. So
you expect more from me.
Yeah. So I'd be in the gym and I'm working out by myself because nobody wants to play with me. And these bodybuilders would see me, these bodybuilders and these OGs at the gym, these lifetime lifters that they're just like big for nothing. Would notice me and they'd, give me a little head nod, and then, eventually they'd introduce themselves. And then one of them says, you know what I like about when I see you here? You live like us. You live like the OGs. You live like Arnold lives. And I'm like, well, because the fundamentals are good for everybody. Like, we should all be able to push and pull and carry and hinge. Like, if we stop doing those things, then we'll get to old age and not be able to do those things. So ultimately, I mean, isn't our goal to be able to be able to do the fundamental movements?
Get bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that should be where you're at.
Yeah.
Life should be getting bigger, faster, stronger.
Absolutely.
Even if it's not in all areas, at least in one area, it's just keep going, keep growing,
Yes, there's literally no limit to how much you can develop yourself. And that even includes, like, if you get injured, that's okay. I heard this thing the other day, it said fall 7 times, get up 8. If you get injured, you're going to heal, and then you're going to develop. You can, figure out, okay, how can I prevent from getting injured, or how can I become more efficient? Like, we can just continue to develop ourselves endlessly. So he was telling me about how, I lived like the OGs, and then these big guys actually started to protect me at the gym because, random guys would come and try to like talk to me and interrupt my workout, and they would just kind of like, hey, she's working out with us. Don't you see she's working out? Get out of here. They would shoo the people away from bothering me. And then they started calling me Baby G. So like they were the OGs, my godfathers, and then I was Baby G. And then when I tried, came to pick a name for a gym, I was like, OG Fitness. Like, it goes back to my New York City roots, growing up as a hip hop kid, and then it goes back, it touches to the part of my fitness journey where I got respect from the OG lifters, but then, to make it something that wasn't, the goal was to make it not feel intimidating, which is why I came up with Optimum Grade Fitness. And then hopefully I can continue to develop that side that is welcoming to the public, because really we're fitness for everybody, for any fitness level at any age.
Right. And I found that, you spoke on this a little bit, is, I mean, I'm not a woman, but you guys do go a long way to make everyone feel comfortable. And I do work out with a lot of females that come in here, and I'm sure they come in because they feel comfortable, which is a big thing that I'm sure you wanted to fulfill for your clients. So can you touch on that a little bit? Just like, not really bashing a toxic gym culture, but just how you do things a little differently and how your mindset is with that.
Absolutely. That is actually a very big part of our business model. I feel I'm probably in the minority in the fitness industry as far as like, an owner of a fitness business, being a female. It's absolutely dominated by men. But one thing that I found in my own journey to this point, when I was, working out at public gyms, or visiting other gyms, or even just looking at the culture of social media, the type of feedback that I was seeing, there are a lot of men in fitness, and some of the male trainers, not all, because there are fantastic male trainers, just like there are fantastic female trainers. But I noticed this culture, and I feel like male trainers get a bad rep because there are male trainers out there that will take a license to because we're personal trainers, because we get so personal with our clients, I talk about my clients. I talk to them about everything, their, everything from their stress levels to their poop cycles. Like, we get very personal.
Sure.
So I found that some male trainers were taking
You hear that, folks? How you poop is important.
Yes,
Listen.
it is. It absolutely is. If you're not pooping, wow, this conversation just went totally rogue. But I feel like,
It's the fun of it, though.
yes, so many male trainers are taking liberties to that, and I had the fortune to, grow up, up my skills in an environment that I didn't have to deal with very much inappropriateness, to the point that when something was inappropriate gym culture, it stood out to me. Like, hey, that guy, like that trainer is not supposed to, he has zero need to touch his female client in that manner in order to get his point across.
Sure.
Or me as a female working out in a public gym, I was aware of, things that made me feel vulnerable,
Okay.
like things that most people wouldn't think about, like a heavier client, especially a female client who comes in and is heavier, is most likely already feeling intimidated, most likely already feeling vulnerable. So then you take this client and you put them on the floor, like on their back, and then you're standing over them. Like, that's an intimidating situation for the client, even if the trainer has all good intentions.
Right, sure.
So a huge thing for me, which is why a huge part of like me wanting to develop this space, was creating a space to teach trainers, new trainers, like newly certified trainers, or trainers who were struggling with the business end, keeping their client base. So, I teach, I have a heavy emphasis on mentoring, not only male trainers, but even female trainers, on how to really help their clients feel as comfortable as possible. Because as female clients, they're already dealing with a bunch of things inside their heads. They're already feeling, a lot of times there's a lot of negative self-talk. There's a lot of just like things that you could consider like self-abusive. The last thing that client needs is a trainer who's going to handle them roughly, is going to put their hands on them, even if it's not something that's like sexual. But if, some people don't like to be touched.
Sure.
Some people don't like for someone to be this, this close in their space. So that's something that I mentor a lot about, how to, what is the appropriate amount of space to give a client, where you should be standing when that client is on the floor in the most vulnerable position. When you record, yes, we're always trying to market ourselves. We're constantly recording clients and recording each other. So I talk to them about that too. Like, hey, when you're recording your client, that client's not going to want to see herself on social media with her cleavage out, or, a dead center shot on like, her private areas. So consider that,
Right.
Handle her modestly. So it's a big deal to me that, as a female business owner, as a woman in a gym, that, the culture is always like respectful, that
Sure.
the women feel absolutely comfortable to come in here, and they never feel like they're being put in a vulnerable position. And then I feel like, more, especially young male trainers and even female trainers who maybe they've never been overweight, or they've never had self-doubt. There are female trainers out there who have always been fit, but they have to understand that the angle of vulnerability that these clients are coming from, and and nurture that, take care of that, and help to grow these people, help these clients develop a more positive mindset.
I think that helps your trainers also develop a positive mindset, because
Absolutely.
like you said, some of them don't, some of them just starting out, or that have worked in 3-4 different places, they've learned 3 or 4 different styles and just kind of made it their own. So maybe in some cases they don't realize what they're doing is disrespectful or whatever else. So conducting, just, like you said, trying to train them to conduct themselves a little better, and just be mindful of their surroundings instead of worrying so much about themselves, or like kind of drop off some of the toxic gym culture that might have been rubbed off on them that they don't even know about.
Yeah, there's so many things that most people might not even think about. Like our our core clientele is over 40. And I want to say probably, I mean, you're a member here.
Right.
Probably 90% of the people here are female.
Yeah.
And we're not a women's gym.
For sure.
But women feel comfortable here.
Yeah.
So, you know, even things as simple as I've had to explain to trainers, hey, if you're asking your client to jump or to jog in place and she's absolutely refusing, chances are it's not out of just her not wanting to work. There's probably a reason because, you know, like, you know, older women with children, like there are things that come into play that not everybody deals with. Like some women might piddle their pants when they jump or run in place. And that's something that a lot of people don't know. They actually never like, never thought about that. They never thought about it that way. So why, if I'm in a training session, and if I have that issue, why do I want to put myself, I'm going to just jump in place or jog in place knowing that I could pee my pants? No, I'm going to resist, but maybe I'm feeling a little awkward about it. I'm not going to tell that trainer, but I'm going to, me as the boss, as the mentor here, I'm going to make sure that that trainer is aware of all those possible scenarios.
And having understanding, right, and to speak a little bit about my perception of some people that might be real hard on their clients and everything else, I find that, you know, you spoke about the critical inner voice earlier, you know, and people like us, and I think people that go to the gym a lot, we all kind of do it a little bit to silence that inner critic a little bit. But I find that a lot of people treat others how they treat themselves. So if you have someone who's in the gym 3-4 hours a day, just completely into it, they'll probably treat their clients how they treat themselves. And like, I got to be hard on myself. That's how I got here. So I got to be hard on my clients possibly to get them to my level. You know what I mean? But like you were saying, it's not always about getting them to your level. It's about getting them a step further, you know, in their journey.
Yes. And in a way that's going to improve their lives, because how do we find the courage to be bold if we're constantly talking negatively to ourselves? If everything was like, that was a stupid choice, or, you know, you're not doing this right, or, you know, if everything is a conversation like that inside your head, then you're never going to be bold enough to say, you know what, I'm going to take a chance on this. Or I'm going to try to take my fitness journey a little bit farther and, you know, really try to understand how to track my macros, or, you know, start walking every day, you know, at the lakefront by myself. Like we need that self-encouragement. We have to develop those skills to you know, talk positively to ourselves and encourage ourselves to, you know, to be able to branch.
At least in my experience, and speaking on myself personally, at least to take a step back too. It's like, you know, you're so focused on going forward, you don't always take a step back and realize how far you've come. You know, especially with, you know, I'm sure people that have been here for years are still pushing to that next level, but some of them don't take a step back and just be like, wow, I've come a long way.
Yeah, look what I did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then having trainers that are also here to hold you accountable. Like I've been in sessions where, you know, of course it's in my head of like, oh, I didn't used to do this, but sometimes you need someone to tell you, you know, because you're not thinking that. You need someone to kind of remind you, like, 6 months ago, you couldn't do this.
Do that, yes.
You know, because you're always, at least for me, always focused on the next step. I don't take a minute often to look around, but I would just to say for people that struggle with that kind of thing is a large step of building your confidence isn't just about doing it. It's appreciating the fact that you've done it as well.
Yeah. And that goes into, you know, I think pretty much any certification that deals with personal training is going to talk about setting SMART goals and how we're supposed to teach our clients how to set SMART goals. And SMART is an acronym. It's an acronym for, I always forget what the S is for. I think it's sustainable, measured, attainable. What is the R for?
Not ridiculous.
Not ridiculous. And then I know the T is for timely. I know I'm going to kick myself later in the butt because, of course, now when I have to remember it, I forget what some of the letters stand for. But ultimately,
someone, if they see there's something in there, they will correct you.
They're going to be like, oh yeah, they're going to be keyboard warrior there. Like, she just a trainer. She doesn't know what SMART goal stands for. ultimately, we're supposed to help our clients set smart goals, but also teach them what that means, and that has to do with, choosing goals that are realistic, they're measurable, and you can attain them in a timely manner. So basically, taking a client that might say, "Well, I want to lose 50 pounds in 2 months before this wedding or this vacation," and we say, "Well, how about we set something that's a little bit more like timely and attainable? Because if you set that goal, 50 pounds in 2 months, and you don't meet that, what's going to happen?"
And the real question you have to ask right then and there is, how hard are you willing to work? Because some
Yeah.
people aren't willing to work that hard.
Yeah, and that's really hard. Like that's a goal that for most people would make them, like it would have a huge impact on their health. Like and not in a good way.
Please take that note. It's like 50 pounds in 2 months. If you hit that goal, it's probably not healthy.
Yeah, it's probably not in a good way. But so taking a client that might be thinking in that way and say, well, consider the fact that if you were losing a steady, half a pound to a pound a week, and in 2 months, you would be down 8 pounds. That is 8 pounds more that you would have lost if you did absolutely nothing. And 8 pounds on anybody feels vastly different.
I think that's another thing people don't take into account is like if you're listening to this, just Google 10 pounds of fat and what it actually looks like. And just imagine that on someone of your frame or my frame, smaller base people. 10 pounds of fat is you're not going to be able to recognize that. Person.
That's like two pant sizes.
Yeah, that's attainable in a week, 2 weeks, easy. Or I mean, in a month, 2 months, easily. With consistency.
And imagine how you, as that person who's now down 8 pounds in 8 weeks, anything that you put on is going to feel. You're going to feel a little bit more confident,
right?
Because now you're down. Your frame is smaller. And you probably feel a little bit better too. You probably feel more mobile. Your heart feels a little bit better. You're just feeling more efficient.
Right.
So I feel like, teaching people to it's almost like giving themselves some slack. Like, be realistic.
Right.
Set something that you can turn around and say, I did that.
Absolutely.
And it was in a reasonable amount of time, and it wasn't like, it's all hard. Anything worth hard.
You don't want to hit a wall and quit. That's your primary goal is you want that base of consistency. And the best way to get that is to give them something they won't quit on.
Yeah. Reach that goal, set a new goal. If ultimately your goal is 50 pounds, you want to lose that 50 pounds anyway. Why does it have to be in 2 months?
Right.
Like you can lose 8 to 10 pounds in 2 months, feel fantastic at that point, even though it's not 50 pounds. And then encouraged to attack the next 40 pounds, and if you stay at that rate, if you keep at that pace, you'll be down your 50 pounds in, 6 to 8 months, which is life-changing.
Yeah.
So.
And I find that if you do it at that longer rate, you kind of sit back and you're like, oh, I've been at that weight for longer than I would have been because at least in my journey personally, because my weight has fluctuated so much. When I first started losing weight, I hit my goal, but my only goal was hitting my goal. So then all of a sudden you're doing the same things that got you in that poor position in the first place. You know what I mean? So if you only have one goal, it's like, oh, I'll lose 20 pounds, and then you start eating poorly again, or it's just going to all come back. And then you gotta, trust it. Take it from me. You have to work harder the older you get to lose that weight again, and everything else. So it's that marker of consistency, like you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like more people need to, if more people set the goal of I want to live a healthier, more functional life.
Yeah.
Then it wouldn't matter what the scale said or what the scale is going to take care of itself. The inches are going to take care of itself. The fat's going to take care of itself if you just take care of your body. We only have this one body, and if we invest time and effort into it, instead of treating it like a trash can and just laying it on the sofa and doing absolutely nothing with it, and then thinking, wow, every day I hurt a little bit more, or I feel a little bit sicker. Ultimately, it comes down to choosing your heart, working out, living a healthy lifestyle or an active lifestyle. it can be challenging, yes. But you know what else is hard is being sick. Being sick is hard. You know, being in pain is hard.
Right.
You know, really feeling like you can't live your life to the quality that you desire and do the things that
Sure.
you want to do. That is hard, you know. So I feel like, you know, and being, you know, being fit and healthy is not the same thing for everybody. It's not
Right.
the same physique. It's not the same. It's not the same weight. It's not the same.
People's journeys are all
Hand size.
different.
Yes, yes, absolutely. We have clients here who just want to be able to feel like they can go on a hike and handle that without feeling like they're dying. You
Right.
know, they don't want to have sculpted physiques. They just want to feel good when they do the things that they want to do.
Mhm.
And that's absolutely, you know, and if that drives them to, you know, drink more water, eat more vegetables, get better sleep, manage their stress,
Right.
you know, to reevaluate all those little, you know, all those aspects to their health. If it means that they're going to reevaluate those things, then it's all worth it, you know?
Right. Yeah, and I agree. And to speak a little bit more about my journey and how I've handled it is, you know, you said, and I think you hit the nail on the head, is, you know, healthy body, healthy mind, in my opinion, you know,
Mhm.
and then they both kind of feed each other at that point, because if you're
Absolutely.
headstrong and you're in the gym, you will be able to push through another set, another
Mhm.
rep, another, and then you will get stronger. And, you
Yeah.
know, it's just gotta, yeah, if you start physically, the mental aspect will follow. And then the mental aspect leads in during your workout, and your physical, you know, your physical presence and your physical attributes follow that. So
Yes,
it all
absolutely.
feeds each other into progression. And
Yeah.
that's, you know, that's everyone's goal is to, I think, progress. I don't think anyone wants to regress, right? I mean, who
I
does?
haven't. Well, no, I've met one person.
Okay,
I did meet one person that had zero aspirations
that's true.
to do better.
I guess I'm speaking a little too exclusively to my circle.
She was rare though. She's the absolute rarity in the situation. And I've never met anybody else who didn't want to
Right.
feel better, move better, live
Yeah,
better. Yeah.
And so, harkening back a little bit to the community, like you said, you've been here 17 years. So, what has the St. Cloud community really done for you? Like, being a business owner, how many other business owners have helped you out? How is this?
So many. I have. Not only do I have we have quite a base of clients here who are business owners, but I have. You know, they've come to be friends now. A lot of my clients have come to be friends now. The ones that I've had for a long, long time. But a lot, you know, I know like local business owners here in St. Cloud are hugely supportive. Like when somebody goes on Facebook on, you know, the infamous Rants, Rave, and Reviews.
I don't even belong to that site. So I think I'm too wrapped up in what I'm doing.
I know. So like, you know, pages like that, social pages like that are, you know, based on local referrals. When somebody goes on there looking for a personal trainer or a gym, you know, I see so many of my, you know, not just clients, but really business owner friends that, you know, go in there and, you know, they tag OG Fitness, they tag Keilah Rios.
I try to do that. I don't always remember, but I try. But I mean, anytime you guys are having an event, you know, supportive event,
absolutely.
I'm there. I'm always there. And I always tell everyone that's where I'm going and that's my gym. Yeah. So, you know,
you're what we call an anchor client here.
I like that. I very much like that. I'm going to eventually get like an anchor tattoo.
Or maybe we'll make a t-shirt.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it's support of clients like you who throw our name out there every possible moment. And then a lot of my friends, you know, who are business owners, they carry our flyers in their businesses. They keep my business partner wallet. They send my phone number to people, you know, which is totally fine because, you know, if that's the way people need to find me, then I'm never opposed to people calling me directly on my phone. But they're hugely supportive, and I feel like when your hairdresser or your esthetician or your chiropractor tells you, you know, hey, when that's a service provider that you trust tells you, oh, you're looking for a gym or you're looking for a personal trainer, check out OG Fitness or check out Keilah's crew. I feel like, as consumers, we tend to, when we have a service provider that we trust their opinion, and we enjoy good customer service from them. Any referral that we get from them, we're gonna hold in a higher regard. And I do the
more
same.
than likely going to get it back.
Absolutely, and I do the same. I refer to other professionals who I know are going to provide a high level of customer care to the people that I send them to. So people, clients and people that ask me referrals, knowing that, usually hold my referrals in high regard. If I say call this realtor or call this house painter, they tend to really value that referral because they trust that I'm going to pass them over to somebody with good customer service. So having other business owners who support us in that manner, but then is like priceless. But then also all of my mentors own some sort of business. Like I have a few people in my circle that I consider mentors, both male and female business owners in multiple different industries, and they just pour knowledge into me. They talk to me about the business stuff that I didn't know when I was just a personal trainer. When I was just a personal trainer, I didn't know the things that you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite segments.
Yes. So
please teach me.
Yes. But now having these these mentors, these peers in my circle that are business owners, they're all too eager to, ask me, when they ask me about my business, I know that it's not only genuine, but they're really asking more in depth than say somebody who's was the parent of a friend of one of my kids or something. People always say, "Oh, how's business?" But when one of my mentors or business owner peers ask me that question, I know that they really mean it. Like, no, really, how's business?
Yeah.
And then there's this opportunity to talk shop and grow, and I'm very transparent with them. I'll say, well, I'm really trying to develop a better marketing plan, or I'm rewriting our business plan, or I'm in a hiring phase, and they just pour into me the knowledge that they had from some of them having businesses that are anywhere from 5 to 20 years old, even like staple businesses right here in St. Cloud. Ultimately we should surround ourselves with the people who we look up to, who are where we want to be. And if I want to have a successful business, if I want to be here in 20 years, then I should be looking to these people for their, for their guidance. And they're just so willing to make the time for me, which I feel also is priceless, because I know how little time I have as a business owner.
Right. Yeah.
There's always something to do. An email, a phone call to make. There's always something. And
expansion too, right? It's like you're always looking to expand as well. In some way, you're always looking to, in your case, bring in a new client. I mean, look at new equipment, study new workouts. Like, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people don't really take into account.
So I appreciate and I value that time, because I know that they're giving me time, that does not come easily. Business owners don't just have free time. So the fact that they're willing to make that time for me is just.
Yeah, and that's the crux of it, is they're literally making time.
Yes.
It's not this that they're talking to you in their free time. Some people might, but they're making time to talk to you and help you and communicate with you and everything else. So I guess to piggyback off that question more about community is especially getting down more into like real estate side from my end, is what would you tell someone if you were trying to sell St. Cloud, which you don't have to necessarily try too hard to do, but if you were trying to kind of convince someone to move here, or at least tell people the good parts about St. Cloud that have just come in, what would you say?
I would say, it's funny because I just had this conversation yesterday with somebody who she just moved near the area, but she works in St. Cloud. And she was like, I don't know anything about St. Cloud. And I was like,
a lot of people that are coming in do not.
Yes. I'm like, you really gotta just get in your car and drive into the cloud and really familiarize yourself with what is here. And not just, with what you just see, because, like if you go into like downtown St. Cloud, there's a lot of old buildings. It might not be, readily apparent, like what is what as far as like businesses are concerned. But if you talk to other St. Cloudians, people like you who have been here for a long time.
Yeah, and it seems like we're running out.
Yeah.
It's like everyone right now that's in my position has been here for even longer than I have,
Yeah.
Now we're done with St. Cloud. It's not what it used to be.
No, you would be amazed at what exists here in St. Cloud.
Yeah.
As far as like businesses and services and like activities and events, like there's literally always something going on. And because there's so many of us that still live that small town life, mentality. Like I forget every day that I drive out onto the main road that St. Cloud has expanded so much, and I always feel like I'm driving out onto my small town, and then I'm like, oh wait, I forgot, but I still have that mentality, like I still want to support small, local businesses. I still want to attend local events.
Right.
So ultimately, anybody who's considering moving to St. Cloud, I really feel like it is worth the time. It's even worth the gas, because St. Cloud is not that big to drive down and back on. Like, gas is expensive now, but you can easily drive into downtown.
Hopefully in like 2 years, this will be a thing of the past and we'll have to talk about it. But currently.
Yes. But you can easily drive into downtown St. Cloud and drive up one street, go around the block and drive down the other street, and drive past like 20 plus like small local businesses. Everything from like boutique shops to taekwondo to lash artists to estheticians, hairdressers. There's just so much that is right here that nobody realizes. I was talking to someone the other day. She complimented me on my eyelashes, and I complimented her on hers. And I was like, "Where do you go?" She was like, "Oh, I go to this place out in Oviedo." And I'm like, there's probably like 10 plus eyelash artists right here in St. Cloud.
Is that the only reason you go? It's just your eyelashes, and you make them try?
Yeah, so you're just driving out there for eyelashes? I'm like, because there are fantastic. She even said she didn't even I can't even refer anybody there because my lashes are like falling out right away. And I'm like, there's like a dozen eyelash artists right here in St. Cloud that do phenomenal work.
Yeah.
Everything from like super fluffy to like very natural looking. Like you could get that right here. And the quality of the customer service is going to be that there's nothing like small town customer service.
Yeah. Sure.
And I feel like you just cannot buy that. You can't just replicate that anywhere, just because.
Yeah. And I find it, especially for me, and I think this is true for probably you as well. And most small businesses, it's like, there are some people that miss the small town life. But as for people like us, it's, we're investing back into the community to keep that idea going.
Yes.
And St. Cloud will always be a small town for someone who moved from Queens, New York.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. It still feels like a small town to me. And in the time that I've been here, which I'm sure is not exclusive to St. Cloud. I'm sure this is an issue in most small towns. But if you like a business, if you like, okay, here's that new restaurant. There's a new taco place, and I went there once, and I really love their tacos, and then I forgot all about them, or I got really busy, or I hit the McDonald's fast food driveway.
Wait, what? You get McDonald's?
No, not me. But I was just saying, like some people might do that, but then, and then you turn around, and you're like, oh, I want to go revisit that place. Oh, it's gone.
Yeah.
Because you didn't support that business. And if you didn't support that business and your neighbors didn't support that business, it doesn't matter how good that product is,
right,
or how good their service is, or how good their food is. But if the town doesn't support that business, then the business is not going to survive.
This hits home a little bit for me, because there was once when I was a teenager, there was a little restaurant down off Old Canoe Creek called Cool Blue Burrito.
Never even heard of it.
Exactly. Nobody has. But their salsa was the best salsa I've ever had in my life, and nobody even comes close to even replicating it.
Yeah.
And they were there for probably, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years. My aunt and I ate there all the time, and nobody even knows it existed. And I'm just like, all the recipes kind of died with it. And I'm like, it's so unfortunate, you know?
That's so sad. And I hate it. Like, I, that's one thing that I have found since I've moved here is like, okay, well, if I don't support that business, then it's just going to disappear, and then it's not going to be there. Or if I don't tell other people about it, you know, and they never know it exists, you know, telling somebody, oh, there used to be, you know, a great taco place here, but it closed. That does nothing at that point in time, because if your friend knew about it, if your neighbors knew about it, and they also supported that business, then it might still be there. So I feel like, and I think for a lot of people, especially now when things are, you know, things are getting more and more expensive, a lot of people are, you know, everybody's like, you know, price comparing and everything. But in a small business, you're going to have to expect that maybe things are going to cost a little bit more. But because it's not a big industry business, it's not a franchise. It, you know, they're not going to get their things, you know, their supplies, their materials as cheaply as, you know, a big box business. But the quality of what you're going to get, the customer care of what you're going to get, and if you find good quality customer care, if you find a good service, then you absolutely should support your local business.
It's very important to whoever's doing it. And I know from experience, and you know from experience, is, you know, we can't just go to Walmart and buy a trainer. You know what I mean? We can't just.
I hope not. I'll be out of business. Walmart selling trainers.
But just to say, like, what's the quality of that trainer? You know what I mean? If they're just, and if the turnaround's high and everything else, some people are just like, oh, I'm a Walmart trainer. I mean, I'm not dogging on Walmart. I'm just dogging on the, you know, the exclusivity of it. You know, if they're always available, if this guy knows he can go get a job somewhere else, how often is he working on his craft? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think that's important.
Absolutely. And I feel like, you know, that's one thing that the people who come here, that's what they, you know, one thing that sets us apart, and that they have come to find our culture or community is, you know, they'll say, like, you know, it feels different here. You know, I feel really comfortable. I feel like this is a safe space.
That's why I'm still here.
Yeah. Well, because we get excited with every single client that signs up. Like, every single client is important to us, because you guys are what helps make this dream possible, as opposed to being, and I'm not knocking on big corporate gyms, but, you know, like, the staff at the corporate gym might not know the names of everybody that walks in. You know, they do what they can. I feel like if I was the big box gym and I had 4,000 members, 20,000 members, I might forget a few names and faces. Yes, but that's not what we are. We are, you know, we're a private space, you know, and we are invested in each and everybody that walks in the door. You know, everybody's name. And we really just try to make everybody's experience as special and as, you know, positive and productive as possible.
Sure. I don't know. I'm thinking of other things that I went over that I might have here, because I did prepare a little bit. I promise I did.
Me too. I have questions for you also.
Okay, that's good. Before we get to that, I'll finish up by asking just a couple of other questions, which would be, do you have any business, speaking of local businesses, because we've been talking about it for a while now, do you have any businesses to shout out? Because I personally would like to shout out someone you had earlier, a couple days ago, with the meal prep.
Oh, yeah.
They were fantastic.
They were great, yeah.
They were great.
They were
I went home and devoured them, because I had just worked out for, you know, an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But can you speak on, you know, just businesses you want to shout out, businesses you'd like to maybe have in the future in here, businesses you've had in here, things like that?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of like-minded, you know, practitioners here in St. Cloud that not only hold the same level of, like, quality of service, because ultimately, if I'm going to refer somebody somewhere, I want to make sure they're going to be well taken care of. Same quality level of service, and really think about the whole picture as far as, like, health and wellness. We're very much on the same page. So for sure, places like an Angel's Touch professional massage. She's my go-to massage therapist. and she takes phenomenal care of our clients as well. Any of our clients that refer over there. East Lake Chiropractic is another great facility there, chiropractic office, and they also do like people who have been injured in car accidents, workplace, that sort of thing. I always get a lot of positive. They actually have treated both of my children as student athletes. All three of my kids actually as student athletes have received chiropractic care there. But anytime I refer a client there, they always come back with huge raves. Right? Raves, yes. Yeah. I wanted to make sure I wasn't saying rants.
Yeah.
Huge raves
about not rants.
About the entire
if you
staff.
Have rants, please don't come back. please go to Facebook.
But they about the entire staff, which is that's pretty rare when you can send 10 plus places to one business and everybody gets a different person and has something great to say about every single person there. So that's pretty rare, and I love that about them. Oh gosh, I better not get in trouble for forgetting anybody though.
I'm sure you will, but it is what it is. If you want to plug your business, come talk to Keilah in the future.
Absolutely.
I mean, sit down with her and do this. Ask her questions, I'm sure.
Yeah, I have clients who haven't been with me for some time that still have my phone number and text me just for referrals. Hey, who can I get to make t-shirts? Who can I get to do this? Who can I get to do that? And they'll text me just for referrals. And then of course, I'm a big fan of your drive and your creativity in everything that you do. So
I have to have it. I have to have a creative outlet.
Yeah.
And for me personally, it's just if I don't have it, I'm just like this.
But knowing that you're a jack of many trades. So I feel like anybody who got to work with you on a project, whether it be t-shirts or real estate, I feel like they're gonna get a truly special experience, because I do believe that you put so much effort into everything that you do.
Yeah.
So I really feel like you absolutely put a lot of heart into everything. So
definitely.
I feel like you'd be a great person to work with on multiple projects.
Question for you, just out of my own curiosity, how does, not just with me, just out of the people you train and deal with that own multiple businesses, how does that translate in the gym? Can you differentiate someone who's super driven as opposed to someone who's, and I'm not knocking anybody's goals, but I'm just saying, how does that, when you're looking at the clientele or people who come in the gym, how does that transfer and translate in your brain as a trainer?
The clients who own multiple businesses are absolutely more stressed. They are more stressed and strung out than the average client. The average client who has a 9-to-5 job that they just go and they clock into. I absolutely believe we all have our stresses, but I notice a different level of frazzle.
Intensity.
Yes, that's the word. The different level of intensity for those clients who own multiple businesses or have their hands in multiple dealings.
Sure.
It truly takes a special type of person to juggle many things, to split their minds in many ways. One business, I have learned, one business is a lot. Yeah. It's absolutely a lot, and you're always going to see growth everywhere where you put your energy to. So having multiple businesses and constantly splitting your energy, it definitely, those clients range from either, they range from, maybe being a little chaotic as far as managing their personal time, their self-care time. So that might be a little bit more chaotic. But when it comes to business, they're sharp, they're measured.
Right.
When it comes to things like meetings or delegating and things like that, that they're going to be a little bit more streamlined on. Right. They usually leave the least amount of time for themselves. So it ranges from that to the Zen masters, the ones who they know that they can't let it all get to them, that they can't juggle it all. Yeah, they have to delegate. They're master delegators.
They can miss a workout and they don't beat themselves up.
Or even actually, those are the ones that, you know, yeah, they'll miss a workout, but they truly, truly value the time that they set aside for themselves.
Sure,
and
sure.
I find like those business owners, the ones who have their hands in multiple dealings, but are very like calm about it all, are also the ones that do not let anything interfere with that time that they set aside for themselves. 100%, they, you know, taking care of themselves is a top priority. And when it's time to do that, then everything else gets set aside. So those are the people who come in and they, you know, as a business owner, I feel stressed when my phone is not near me. If it's not on my hip, if it's not on my hand, because there's always things going on. You know, this is my connection to the world. There's always things going on here. But those business owners, I find, have transcended to a level where they'll walk in and set their phone up on the side and walk clear across our 4,000 square feet.
Yeah.
And for 45 minutes to an hour, they completely forget that they have a phone, because this is their time. They're going to put everything into this 45 minutes into this work.
That's why I wake up so early, because I don't have time. Like, people always ask, like, you know, how do you get up that early? Why do you get up that early? It's because my time is devoted to whatever job I'm doing throughout the day. Like, I get up early because that's my time to just kind of have to myself, essentially. And that's what I do when I come in and work out.
Oh yeah, no, when you work out, you're all in the workout. You probably are more focused than I am, because my phone is like always going off and it's nearby. Like, I actually get applauded when I manage to get through an entire circuit without picking up my phone. But I feel like this heavy responsibility to take care of the clients, to take care of the staff. And we're in such a huge growth phase right now that, you know, it's constantly on my mind. So I almost feel stressed out if I can't at least check to make sure that the world isn't falling apart. But I aspire to transcend to your level where I'm working out, I am working out, and I'm not like, you know, checking.
But to be fair, that helps me a lot, because I have to stay scheduled with my workouts. So if I can't make it, or if I want to come in an extra hour, or I need to find something out, you're always available. And if you don't get back to me immediately, you always get back to me, regardless of the time. It's usually in a short amount of time to let me know, hey, gym's open this late, gym's open at this time. And that's the good part about you being by yourself. You know what I mean? Even if you are in the gym in a session, still get back to me, which is, it's crucial for your, you know, customer service.
Yes, right now, yes. So ultimately, the goal is for us to get to the point where we have administrative staff that are here to keep the gym open for our members, so that you know that when you show up at whatever time, like whatever time during our operating hours, that the door will be open, the gym is up and running and ready for you to use. And then you'll have access, you know, our client base is also going to have access to those people, so that they have questions, just in case I happen to be, you know, in a dead zone with my cell phone, or in a meeting. I think there was one time you texted me.
Or God forbid,
and I didn't
catering to your actual life.
Yeah. My quarter of a dozen kids that I have. But I think there was like one time that I didn't get back to you. And I felt awful about it. I think
that's standard though, you know, you feel like you're betraying your own standard.
Absolutely, yes. Because I think what had happened was I opened your text message, and then I thought in my head, I replied, and then I squirreled onto something else. And then because I had opened that text message, didn't get to come back. And I felt absolutely awful. So, you know, the way my brain goes now as business owner is, how do I troubleshoot that, so that in the future, when I have 10 and 20 and 30 Daltons, that I don't know if I want to picture that place. He's like, right now it's exclusive, 20, 30 of us. It's not exclusive anymore. But at that point, you know, I'll need the support staff. I'm going to have to delegate that out to other people. But that is also going to allow me to set my personal time at that higher level of priority, so that I know I can disappear from the world for an hour and a half, and you know, things at home base are not going to crumble. So it just pushes me to, you know, develop this business model.
Get to a whole other level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep growing yourself and everything else. You said you had questions for me.
Absolutely.
I think I'm pretty much tapped out here. I've went over everything. So
yeah, I mean, so you answered a lot of my questions, because a lot of them had to do with, you know, why you chose OG Fitness, as your home base. And you touched a lot about, that feeling of, you know, customer care, the exclusivity, feeling comfortable here.
It's weird because I walk a fine line of like, I want to feel comfortable, but I don't want to feel comfortable. Because comfort's important to everyone, but for the part of me that wants to grow, discomfort's just as equally as important. I want to be engaged and feel like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, and learning about that. But to touch a little bit more on why I chose you guys, and it's a little more of why I chose to stay, and not just why I chose you, because I was looking around and I ran into the same issue a lot of other people do, and that's gym anxiety. Is I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue on how to be in a gym appropriately and lift things the right way and do all these things. I knew things about myself where I knew I would be consistent. I knew I would work hard at it, but how do you work out at something you don't know what to do with? You know what I mean? So I had a membership at Crunch for probably 6 months to a year, and I never used it.
Oh, wow.
Just because all of that got to me a little bit. But I mean, after I went through what I went through, I was just like, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it. You know what I mean? Like, if I got to rebuild myself, I'm going to rebuild myself as best I can. And you guys happen to be 5 minutes from where I live. So, I mean, it was convenient.
Yeah.
But then when I came in, everyone worked so well with me that I felt comfortable immediately. And then I can introduce a little of that discomfort in being like, I still want to build upon this. I want to do more. And one of your trainers in here, I first worked with a trainer that's no longer here. Jonathan was my first trainer here. And then I ran the gamut. I mean, I worked with Brian.
You trained with everybody here.
I trained with you. I trained with everyone. And then they have a trainer here. His name is Pierre. He was just a godsend to me. He was willing to work with, because I'm up early. And the first thing I asked you was, do you have any trainers that are up in the AM? And you were like, yeah, Pierre will probably be able to meet you here in the AM.
He doesn't sleep.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, great. And that man was just a godsend to me, honestly. It's just, he's taught me so much, and taught me so much more than just about lifting and about, being in the gym. And I like all of that kind of subconscious information that you absorb in this gym, because you have that time and that space to kind of listen to everybody.
Yeah.
And instead of, it being so chaotic and noisy in here, everyone's here to help you along. So you just absorb so much if you're willing to absorb, which I think, even if you're not consciously doing it, you're still doing it.
Yeah.
So he was a huge integral part of me staying here, because here's a gym that caters to what I need, and there's really no wiggle room in the sense of they're going to give me what I need. If I need this on this day, if I need that on that day, they accommodate. So that's why I've stayed here. And me personally, and this is the same reason I chose Royal Realty as a brokerage, is I love the idea of getting in on the ground floor of something, because then you grow with that thing.
Yes.
And I like that idea, and I like that. Like when I chose Royal Realty, and I've told this to everyone that's asked, it's like when I got into real estate, I didn't want to be just a number on a big wheel. And that could be brought back to my roots of having close family, having small community, whatever you can draw upon, wherever it goes back to. I didn't want to just be, I'll see my boss, once every month, and then he would come in to just scold me or ask me what I was doing, and there was no personal connection.
Right.
I'm a big connection person. And like I spoke on earlier, life is about, I feel like it's about connection and relationships, and everyone here was willing to work with me and build a connection with me and a relationship with me. So that's why I stayed.
Right.
I'm just loyal, I'm just a loyal person in general, but that's why I'm, here. And that's why I probably won't leave here, because I love watching you guys grow.
That makes me happy to hear. And that just kind of, that really motivates us to want to just further build on that culture and really just continue to grow in every way, so that we give our clients something to look forward to. Like, this was a huge step from our 1,000 square foot small little gym. This was a huge change. So to be able to grow from here, like, I feel like that's our gift to our clientele. Like, here's what, we've taken everything, the time and your hard-earned money that you invest in us. Here's what we're doing with it. We're going to continue to improve so that you can just enjoy coming here even more than ever before.
Sure.
So with that, you were talking about getting into, why you chose Royal Realty. what made you decide to take the leap and get into real estate?
Honestly, and it's a real silly answer, but I mean, it goes along with what we've kind of covered. It's just personal investment. Yes. It's like I didn't expect to jump in, and honestly, I didn't expect to jump in and enjoy it. But I think it's just part of my personality and who I am to find joy in everything, and find passion in everything, just in life, because I know what it's like to, kind of not live in a sense and not live to my fullest. So I appreciate when I'm, now getting to do that, even in my job and helping people move along in their journey in real estate. That's where I'm finding my passion is moving people along the journey in life, upgrading, going bigger, going better. We're downgrading. Everyone's moving, but they're also moving in life, and that's what I like to help them. But to answer why I got into it, really, it was I just did it as a personal investment. I was like, I can throw $500 into a school and learn real estate, and if I sell a house, I make that back. Whatever. And like we've talked about, I do have a lot of irons in the fire, but it's always kind of just trying to gain attributes, gain skills. Do as much as I can before my time runs out, or whatever I can do. So why real estate? It seemed like it was easy at the time. I found out later it's definitely, anything you really apply yourself to and you want to be good at it's not easy. It's not going to be easy. Yeah. But I enjoy it. I enjoy the struggle. I enjoy the challenge. I love feeling challenged because I love getting to that point where what was once challenging no longer is, and then finding a new challenge in it. So I enjoy real estate, and I honestly enjoy where I work too, because it's very small community. My broker Ian grew up in St. Cloud too, so we can relate on that level a lot. And his business partner is his dad, Fran, and Fran's the deputy chief of police. He's been here his whole life, so I felt comfortable with that because they were a lot like me.
Yeah.
They've been here for a while and they're trying to capitalize on the area they know. So it's been a lot of that, but really the silly answer to why real estate is simple as it gets. Why not? Why not do something? Why not this? Why not that? Why not go to the gym? Why not OG Fitness? You know what I mean? So that was that's really the only answer I have. Why not?
Right. And so you touched on the fact that you're enjoying, this experience. So what is it about real estate that that you've encountered thus far that you enjoy the most?
A little bit of what I talked about earlier. And honestly, now at this point, getting in front of more people, speaking on gym anxiety, I think a lower part of that is social anxiety. And getting over social anxiety, getting in front of people and not being afraid to look silly and look stupid or not know things. And I think what I'm enjoying it right now at this part of my journey is just getting over that stuff within myself, but also being of service while doing it. And it's so helpful to both parties. You know what I mean? It's just like getting in front of people, talking to them, putting myself out there. Because I don't think enough people put themselves out there.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
And that's been, at least for me right now, that's been the greatest and most fun part about this is in getting to know people, they also get to know me. And then that reaffirms your confidence and like, okay, I can do this and I'm not so bad and I have something to offer and I have something to give and I have value and everything else. So I think a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
And mental health, especially things like that. And that's my point to say this is just get out there, get in the gym, go jump into a career you don't know what you're doing and find your passion. And I like real estate. And I find that I like real estate in the St. Cloud, especially because I know it. I've been here forever. I've been here for 31 years. Essentially, I took a break and moved up north for a while, but this is, I'm homegrown and I have a knowledge base with my parents that also grew up here. So they know plenty of people. They know the area. So it all kinds of feeds into itself. Yeah. So why real estate? At the time, I really didn't know, but now I'm finding out more that maybe it was just meant to be in a sense. I don't know. But I'm finding out and I'm enjoying the process.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad. I mean, it's nice to see. Ultimately, I feel like you're always gonna, you're gonna strive a little bit more, knowing it's something that you enjoy doing.
Right. Yeah.
And you mentioned that it's not easy, but I feel like anything we're doing is hard, and that's what sets us
Definitely.
apart. You know, when you develop that commitment to developing a skill, especially, we're not babies, we're not spring
Right.
chickens. So to be an adult and decide this is what I'm going to do now is,
And stepping out of your comfort
Yes.
zone is always so hard.
Yes.
But it's always worth it. At least
Mhm.
in my experience, it's always been worth it.
Mhm. And I really feel you mentioned earlier about developing meeting people and developing relationships, and I find that when you are, especially when you're embarking on an industry that is so relationship based, that is
Right.
so much about developing relationships and helping people to feel comfortable with you. When you are when you put yourself out there to meet people and to really get to know how how other people are, people who in the past you may have thought, wow, that person was really intimidating, but then you push yourself to have a conversation with them and you're like, well, he's a real person too.
Yeah.
He deals with all the same things that I'm doing, and
And
he's doing this, so why can't I do this?
Right. And don't get me wrong, not everyone is going to be your cup of tea.
Mhm.
But in my experience, I find that if you kind of internalize that and you let it teach you a lesson about yourself,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter if
Yeah.
they're not your cup of tea. You know what I mean? There's always something to learn in everything. Is the way I look at it. You know.
I like that. Well, I have a two-part question for you.
Okay.
Touching on that, not everybody's your cup of tea. What type of client do you think do you enjoy working with? What type of mindset coming into wanting to purchase a home? What type of client really do you feel that you'd be most successful with?
I think you could probably relate to this answer in business, and then anybody in any field. Honestly, just someone who's open-minded, someone who will actually listen, because it's a lot of people, like you said earlier, that don't know what they don't know. My job, really, I go into every meeting, every stand-up, just everything I do when I'm in front of someone. I just want to let them know, like, I'm not essentially here to sell you anything. I just want to give you information. And it's information you probably didn't have, and you're sitting here wondering, I deal with a lot of sellers, and they've had their house on the market forever, and they're wondering why isn't this selling? You know what I mean? And even if I don't get them to sign a contract at the end of the day, I still want them to know, like, this is probably why it's not selling. Let me give you my knowledge, and then you make the decision. If hiring a realtor is right for you, if hiring me is right for you, if going and finding, if your friend's a realtor, great, go with them. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I just want to provide, like I said earlier, a service of information and knowledge. And I find the easiest client to work with is someone who is actually open to listening and taking that information in.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can relate to that. And almost any business owner can relate to that.
Oh, yeah, let the professional be the professional.
Yeah.
You're paying them for their professional opinion, for their expertise, giving them that room to do their job and
Right.
Trusting in that experience that they have.
For sure.
Like if you tell a client, hey, you might not get this house if you don't come in with a strong enough
Right.
offer. I feel like what people don't know can absolutely scare them, but then a lot of times people kind of like develop their own opinion of what personal training might be like, or what they can, what the real estate market might be like,
Right,
what they can get out of a house. But I think it's important to, as service providers, being honest with our client base.
Not to interrupt you, but I touched on this a little bit last night. It's like I've literally had to psych myself up to tell someone, like, I know what you want, but it's not realistic. You know what I mean? And kind of put the sale to the side. It's like, sure, I want to list your house. Sure, I want to do this and that. But if your goals don't align with where the market's at, or what things are, or the way things are moving, at the end of the day, I'm too much. I mean, I don't know if I can be too much of a people person or a service provider, or what you want to call it, but I'm going to sit there and tell you, it doesn't line up, and I don't think it's for you.
Right.
Like, if this is what you want and you can't get it, then at the end of the day, I got to kind of wash my hands and be like, maybe you shouldn't sign with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I want my client to get what they want out of it. More importantly, I think if they're open-minded, they also understand that I want them to get what they need out of it. They don't need someone in front of them, at least in my opinion, that's going to tell them everything they want to hear. just to hopefully get a sale. That's
Right.
not the way I want to operate my business. That's not the way I want to run my life, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's very important, is transparency and honesty. Like I said, I've had to psych myself up to have those conversations, because it's kind of hard to hear in some scenarios, in some situations.
Yeah,
you know?
it's hard to say. It's hard
Yeah,
to have hard
it is.
conversations. And I feel like not enough people give, their service providers enough credit for being brutally honest with them.
Right.
It doesn't mean that, that they don't want to provide you service, so that they're refusing to do what you want. But, ultimately, we work best within our skill set and within what is
Right.
realistic.
Sure.
We don't want to make our clients unrealistic promises and then not be able to meet those standards.
Right.
Ultimately, because then it looks like you failed.
Yeah, and then not only that, but I'm not too I'm not too prideful or boasting to admit that I don't know something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I don't know, I'm gonna tell you I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, consult someone who does, and then get back to me, because and tell me about it, because I want to know too, for the next time I have this question come up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was something you touched on a little bit earlier about having your clients and friends, and I read something a while ago, which is ringing true to me, and it's sometimes it's easier to make a friend out of a client than a client out of a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that to be very true.
Yes, I love my friends, but none of them change. But I do have clients, many clients, that have turned into friends.
Right.
So in that aspect, I do have friends that train here.
Yeah. Exactly.
But based on, you touched on, on questions. So a big thing for me is, I wish more people would, when interviewing personal trainers, I wish they would ask their personal trainers more questions, like more direct questions, so that they're making sure that they're getting the right person for them. Because just like, realtors come in all different, colors, sizes, personalities, personal trainers, come in many varying shades. So what are some questions when someone who's looking to, hire a realtor to help them find a home or to sell their home? What are some questions that you wish that potential clients would ask in order to know that this is someone who is a good fit for them? Not just someone who knows how to deal with real estate, but someone who is a good fit for them and looking out in the best interest of what their goal is.
It's such a good question, because I'm realizing the more, because I'm only semi-experienced, right? But the more experience I get, is you're not going to run into a lot of people that are like-minded with you. Like, if you go to $1 million houses, these people are on point with their businesses. They want their real estate agent to be on point. The personal connections, sure, it's a little important to them, but it's not as important as someone that's just going to get the job done. And I'm realizing that more and more, the more people I talk to, is people's needs vary so much. And referring, like I said, referring people out, even if I can't meet their needs, maybe it's someone else who can. Of course, you maybe want every client that gets in front of you, but it's never going to happen, So some questions I wish they would ask more is just, honestly, I think a simple answer to this is just I wish they would ask more questions. Because, touching on what we said earlier, you don't know what you don't know, but also, in my opinion, to dive deeper into this topic, is I'm a firm believer that life will pay whatever you ask of it. But you gotta know how to ask. If you're very vague and say, "What can I get from my house?" Well, I mean, that's a vague question.
Yeah.
You can get whatever someone's willing to pay for your house, but are you familiar with the market and what people are getting for their houses in your area? Just because your neighbor did, your house isn't exactly the same as your neighbor's. You know what I mean? So ask particular questions. Ask, what can you do for me? How quick can we get into our new house? What does this process look like? Things like that. Just ask more questions, and don't assume you have all the answers just because you want to get to where you want to get. But some particular questions, experience-wise, I don't know if I've had enough experience in the business where I am right now to really delve into what I would particularly like. I think most real estate agents probably wouldn't, because they can, if you ask them, "Oh, what are some objections you don't like hearing?" They're going to go off all day. And like, "Oh, I don't like hearing this. I don't like hearing that." But what they do like hearing is, at least for me, is like someone who's interested. And I don't want to say they make it easier because obviously we all want it to be easy, you know what I mean? But if they just ask questions pertaining to what they actually want, because not a lot of people, you know, you kind of have to dig at a lot of people to get to the root cause of what they're actually asking, what they actually want. And that's where, you know, in any sales environment, the objection handling comes in. I just think people should maybe hopefully be a little more honest about, okay, well, what it is, what do I want? And then let me ask that of you. Can you give me this particularly? And then hopefully they can. I'm sure if you ask particularly and that's your main goal, if that's what you want, then you will receive it. But as I said, regardless of who you're asking, like if I came to you and said, okay, I want to build muscle, but I have this amount of time frame and this amount of this and this amount of that, like you said earlier, you're going to kind of do your best to be like, okay, well, we can do that, but this is how we have to do it. You know what I mean? So it's the specifics of, you know, knowing what you want out of your real estate agent as well. Is you know what you want, because a lot of people don't. I mean, pretty much, if you ask me, 98% of people don't know what they want.
Yeah, if I were to buy a house tomorrow, I don't know what I want.
Yeah, and it is a vague answer just because, I mean, being a lack of experience or lack of this or lack of that. But, you know, at a deeper level, I just think that, you know, be honest with questions. Don't be afraid to ask, you know, how's the market doing, or how's this house sell, or how this house sells, or what do you think it's worth, you know. But going back to what I said earlier, you have to be open to that answer. You know, you have to be open to hearing something, an answer you might not like, you know. So that's what I think is just ask more questions. And ask more questions about real estate, ask more questions about where you're going, ask more questions about, you know, what you want, what you think it is you can get. Just, you know, really get to know your agent as well, because that's how you find out if they're right for you. And it doesn't always have to be just strictly about real estate. Ask them about them, you know, because that's really where you connect and get to know who they are and see if they're a good fit for you. That's when it clicks.
What would be then some red flags? Like if I were to go into the market to buy a house tomorrow and I'm talking to a couple different realtors, what are some red flags that, you know, if I'm talking to someone that I should be aware of, like that's a sign of a bad realtor or someone who's not looking out for my opinion. Without bashing anybody, but
right.
You know, what are things that
I'm not even
for as customers?
Yeah, I'm not even aware of that. I think that might come down to personal connection as well. It's like I don't know if I could speak on red flags for everyone, but red flags for, at least for me, would be someone who's kind of just telling me everything I want to hear. You know, just I guess maybe a hint of desperation underneath it all. You know what I mean? It's just like, of course we can get this amount and this amount. We can do whatever you want, and this and that. You know, and not really giving objections back in kind of a way. Just like someone who's, you know, and almost someone maybe who's dabbling in the business and not taking it seriously. You know, because if you want to master a business and you're in business, you know this is, you know, I think the statistics are 95% of businesses fail. And that doesn't even mean they're profitable. That just means they fail. And as a real estate agent, as a personal trainer, we're in business with ourselves. We have to be that 5%, you know, and that's, you got to separate a lot, you know. And I would say find someone who at least appears that they're not dabbling and that they're taking it seriously, you know, and they could really be of service to you. I mean, red flag to me would be someone who comes in and they're at least, you know, not prepared and they're not informative. And they kind of just like looking around, dilly-dallying, maybe on their phones, whatever, and they're not paying attention to me, you know. And the client, and you know this, the client is always number one. He's like, you know, I work for my client. That's what I work for. I don't work for myself. At the end of the day, we say we work for ourselves, but we work for our clients. And if you see someone who's not really engaged and not willing to work with you or for you, excuse me, hire someone else.
Yeah.
Please hire someone else.
I don't think enough people trust their intuition enough to say, like, you know, and in your industry and in mine, you know, something doesn't feel 100% right, but you know, maybe it's supposed to be this way, and they don't trust their intuition enough, and then, you know, many times down the line that comes back to bite them.
Yeah.
In the ass.
Yeah.
But I feel like we need to trust our intuition more.
Yeah.
And then when we find a realtor or a personal trainer or a massage therapist, a chiropractor, an esthetician, we find someone whose service we feels like we're being valued, but we value their service and their opinion, then that's when you're in the right place.
Right. And someone, I guess, in a way, who cares a little bit more about them and about more so what they're doing in the big picture than their job at that time. You know what I mean? They care about their reputation. They care about that reputation carrying them forward. Things like that is just like, I mean, I'm not saying you should be engaged in the moment, but if and I can't say from experience because I've never been this way, but if you're in front of someone and all you're doing is trying to chase the dollar signs, you're not going to be that. You're not big picture oriented. You're not really, you just want them to sign that contract and make off with money at the end of the day. And I thoroughly believe it's, I mean, I'm sure there's some people in this industry that are like that and that are profitable and everything else. It's just, I hate to say it this way, and I'm sure you can relate as a business owner, but there's some people that it's also, are they a good fit for me? Like, if that's what they care about, if they're just chasing the check, and if I'm in front of them in front of their house, trying to sell their house and trying to give them information, and they're not hearing me, and they just want what they want, maybe they will find someone that mirrors that, and they're chasing they find a realtor that just wants money. Maybe that's a good fit for them. I don't know, but it's not a good fit for me. That's not how I want it.
Right. Yeah. I'm a firm believer that we never really truly know where the connections and relationships that we develop, where they're going to lead to in the future. A good, connection or experience with a client today could lead to an opportunity in 10 years.
Right,
so
right.
I really truly value every single encounter, every experience, every client. And I feel like, service providers who think of, consider it that way, and treat everybody with priority, that's just the way to be.
And I think so too, and I believe so too. It's just like, because you have to understand also, I mean, being a realtor, being in industries like this and being commission based wherever you are, it's like most of the time what you're doing today isn't going to pay off for like 2 or 3 months, and what you're doing today isn't going to pay off for 2 or 3 months. People might not see this or listen to it for 6 months until we have a consistent pace, you know what I mean? But it's having that long-term vision. It's having that foresight and operating on that instead of operating on, okay, just, harkening back to that. It's just like, okay, I'm just doing money. I'm just working for this. I'm just working to get here. It's like, always moving that finish line. To me, it separates these, some people from others, and it's just like, that's why I surround myself with people like you and like the people I work with in my team at the office. They're all kind of oriented in that way. It's just like, this isn't the finish line. It's 6 months from now. It's a year from now. We're always chasing something to be better, and that means we're going to be better for our clients and for anybody that wants to come in front of us and wants to work with us. And I think it's mission critical. Is working on yourself more than your job, and working on yourself to be valuable and be a good source of information and be of service.
Absolutely, 100%. I feel we truly are on the same page in that aspect. So that's good to hear, because knowing that there's other like-minded professionals in other industries in our town like that, it's the collection of hundreds of business owners and self-employed people that are like-minded like us.
Right.
That's what sets apart that small town customer service and that feel. Absolutely.
And it's only gonna help grow the community, right? And it's only gonna get us out there more, and that's exactly what we need. It's like, people need to know that similarities. Hopefully people listen to this and they're like, oh, they're like me. That's how I operate my 9 to 5. That's how I operate my job. Maybe I can make a connection with this person and go to OG Fitness. And maybe you'll bring someone in instead of the thought of, oh, I need to get in better shape. Because I've often found that the reason I come in or the reason I do something is not often the reason I stay with you, you know, so I hope it definitely pays off in that regard for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as long as we continue to persevere,
Always
it's all
have,
going to pay off. Yes.
so
yes.
have you. So. But I think we're like almost 2 hours in, which is it's been super fun.
And we touched on a lot of things.
Yeah, I can't wait to keep doing this, and I hope you take the ball with this as well. Because I would love to hear from some of the clients. Like Brian's amazing, and he's always reliable, and I'd love to hear more about him. You know,
Oh yeah.
Sitting down with him, and you know, even just listening to you sit down with him, because you're going to touch on subjects that I wouldn't necessarily touch on. And it's going to be a lot more fitness based, which me being here all the time, I like doing that. So, you know.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I definitely look forward. This was a positive experience. I look forward to doing it again.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing what you're going to produce out of it and what you'll produce in the future. So absolutely appreciate you inviting me on this. You know, holding me accountable.
Well, you said you wanted to do it, so I'm like, I have to pick the perfect person. The perfect person that's going to move forward in this.
Yes, I love a go-getter, and you knew exactly how to operate with me. You know, communicate with me directly, give me a time and a date. Okay, let's put this on the schedule. Boom.
Yeah, even if it goes horrifically sideways, we'll figure it out.
No, we made it work.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, this has been a great experience, Dalton. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here in my space. It's been great chatting with you.
I live here pretty much between this and the office.
I think I see Dalton more than
she's gonna start charging me rent. Yeah.
I mean, technically, I kind of already do.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's cheap rent, though, guys. I mean, you get so much more out of this than what you pay.
And you're supporting a local business and a family and a dream.
Yes.
That's the best part about supporting local business.
And not only that, but and I found this is supporting family. They're absolutely supportive.
Yeah, the name of the game.
All right, guys. Thank you again.
Thank you. Oh, I'll cut this part out.
I think the first 5